What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we have my official top 30 point guards in the NBA. Now, this one is tough because it's not going to be purely based off of what I saw last season, but it's also not going to be purely going into next season. So kind of a mix of both. So kind of just filling it out along the way. Make sure to like and subscribe. Go into the description and submit your video ideas, and let's get right into it. 30, we have Men Thompson, and obviously, as you could tell, I guess before I should start the video, I should say this. We're not going to be doing only starting point guards. Men Thompson's not a starting point guard in the NBA. Still going to make the top 30 list. This year, Men Thompson averaged 9 points, 6 rebounds, over 1 steal a night, while shooting over 50% from the field, despite shooting under 20% from 3. Just shows you how good he was at converting 2-pointers. But the real reason Amen Thompson's on this list is because of his defense, not just getting steals, but also being able to guard the opponent's best guard, being able to deflect the ball, being able to force bad shots, block shots as well. Ben Thompson is probably one of the best young defenders in this league. I think he's going to be making defensive teams for years to come. I guess another disclaimer before we really get into things. I left guys off like Marcus Smart, CJ McCollum, because I believe they're going to be playing the shooting guard position next year, which also means DeJounte Murray is going to be on this list. At 29, we have Chris Paul. He wasn't amazing last season, but he was still a very solid backup point guard. Averaged 9 points and 7 assists for the Golden State Warriors. He shot 44 from the field and 37 from 3, which is not terrible. It's probably around or maybe just above league average. So all in all, it wasn't a bad season from Chris Paul. He did get injured going into or during the season, so he kind of slowed down during that part. He's going to get a big opportunity with the Spurs this season, most likely starting, being able to dish the ball to Victor Wembanyama. I think he could have a little bit of a maybe a 10 and 10 type season. Who knows? Maybe he can have average a double-double next season. 28, I'm going to have Ayo Dosunmu from the Chicago Bulls. This year he averaged 12 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists, while shooting 50% from the field and over 40% from 3. It was clear that Ayo Dosunmu had a bit of a breakout year this year in terms of his efficiency. Now, he did start last year because of Zach LaVine's injury at that shooting guard position with Derek White, but now with Josh Giddey coming into the fold, it's most likely that Ayo Dosunmu will be pushed to the bench because we're probably going to see a lineup of Giddey, Derek White, Zach LaVine as their 1 through 3. So Dosunmu will probably get relegated to the bench. I'll have him as their backup point guard. At 27, I'm going to have Terry Rozier. Some people might think this is a little bit too low to be average points, assists. Opportunity. Gives the best defense we have in the league. I'm confident putting him at 21. 20, we have James Harden. That's right, we're at a point in the NBA where James Harden is barely a top 20 point guard in the NBA. So I couldn't give the 2010s fan of me the benefit of the doubt. Assists, about 5 rebounds. Also shot 42.8 from the field and 38 from the 3-point line. So obviously his scoring fell off a cliff, only 16.6 points per game. And you might be saying, with Paul George gone next season, maybe his points per game can go up. I'm not saying it can't, but more volume does not always mean more efficiency. And actually, it usually means less efficiency. So we're seeing the last legs of James Harden. He had a great career though. I guess I could probably mention that he can't defend anything now. At 19, I have Fred VanVleet. This year averaged 17 points and 8 assists. He's usually not a great field goal percentage shooter. This year shot 41 from the field. I think it was 42. No, 41 from the field and 38 from three. But we know Fred VanVleet brings it on both sides of the ball. Not only is he one of the best facilitators in this league, he's able to run an offense, able to not stop the flow of an offense. He's also one of the best perimeter defenders we have in this league. Being able to get in the opposing guard's grill, being able to contest shots despite being probably under 6 feet tall, being able to just stick with his guy. Only 6 feet tall, being able to be a great defender in the league, you don't see that at times. So for that reason, he's going to be at 19, above James Harden. At 18, I have Mike Conley. This year, he averaged 11 points and about 6 assists. So obviously, the numbers don't stand up, but we know Mike Conley brings it on both sides of the basketball. He's a very solid perimeter defender. But his ability to dish to the open man, not stop the flow of an offense, being able to run a pick and roll, being able to delegate to catch and shoot shooters sometimes when you have Anthony Edwards on the court. Conley's really your typical good point guard in the NBA. If you want to show your kids what a good point guard looks like, show them Uncle Mike. At 17, we have Darius Garland. This year averaged 18.6 assists on 44 from the field and I think 41 from three. Or excuse me, 37 from three. So obviously, a down year for Darius Garland. I mean, if you asked me to make this list last year, he would have probably been closer to the top 10. Wouldn't be there, but would have been closer. So just a down year for Darius Garland. I don't blame him, honestly. You know, young guards have down years all the time. If he can be good next season, I have no problem putting it up to maybe like 12 on this list. At 16, we have LaMelo Ball. 24 points and 8 assists this year, but we know the best ability is availability. First year, 51 games, solid. Second year, 75 games, really good. He was an all-star. Then 2 years ago, 36 games played, and then last year, 22 games played. So I can't even make an argument for LaMelo Ball in the top 10 if he's not going to be playing most of the basketball games he should be involved in. At full health, LaMelo Ball definitely makes the case for top 10, though, I'll say that. Even we're probably seeing some improvement on the defensive side of the ball, so impressive for LaMelo Ball. At 15, we have Cade Cunningham, who averaged 23 points and about 8 assists per game. Now, I'd like to talk about how I think Cade Cunningham's slightly injury prone. Obviously, rookie year was solid, 64 games played. Second year, only 12 games played. But this year, he had 62 games played, so that definitely pales in comparison to what we saw from LaMelo Ball. Looking back on the top 10 guys I built around top 10 guys under 25, that video I made, probably be linked somewhere in the top right there in this video. Probably could have put Cade over Scotty Barnes. I'm gonna stick with Scotty Barnes though. Cade's gonna be a solid player. He's finally gonna have real pieces around him, like Jaden Ivey. Hopefully he continues to improve. Malik Beasley as a spot up 3-point shooter, that's gonna be very good for him. We're gonna have a Sword Thompson coming into his second year, hopefully improving that 3-point shot. Also Tobias Harris, one thing he should be doing is shooting that 3-point shot. That very solid center, Jalen Duren. Maybe we could see this Pistons team make a play-in spot. I don't know. The East is weak, so if there's any chance to do it, it's now. At 14, I have Jamal Murray. This year averaged 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 6.5 assists. Only played 59 games and 48% from the field, 42% from three. So after last year's playoffs, or I guess 2 years playoffs at this point, where the Nuggets won the championship, a lot of people were making Jamal Murray cases for top 10. This year, he struggled a lot against the Timberwolves in the second round. It's tough because he's sort of injury prone, doesn't play too much games per season, and also he hasn't performed too well in the playoffs when it comes to solid perimeter guards. Had to deal with Mike Conley, had to deal with Anthony Edwards, obviously, had to deal with Jaden McDaniels as well. Against the Lakers, he had to deal with D'Angelo Russell. So there you go for that one. 13, we have DeJounte Murray, and yes, I'm going to consider him a point guard now that he's going to be on the New Orleans Pelicans. The last time he was a point guard, he averaged 21 points and 9 assists while also playing some of the best, if not the best, perimeter defense in the NBA. He also shot a solid 46% from three, and ever since those years, he shot 34% or excuse me, 46 from the field, and ever since that 21 season, he shot 34% from three, then 36% from three. So 3-point shots really evolving, and he's able to tap back into that point guard mentality. DeJounte Murray can be very solid next year, especially if he's going to play elite defense again, because Trae Young kind of brought him down. Speaking of Trae Young, we have him here at number 12 for 26 points per game and about 11 assists per game. Obviously, we know what Trae Young brings on the offensive side of the ball, but defensively, that's where stuff or the question marks start to appear. I think Trae Young is definitely a bit underrated from the consensus top point guard list. Guess I'm kind of underrating him here as well because 12 is kind of low. But considering if he has an off night on the offensive side of the ball, he can't really bring anything defensively as well. Kind of turns me off. I think you could definitely argue Trae Young a lot higher on this list though. At 11, we have Jrue Holiday. Yes, only 13 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. But what he was able to do down the stretch as a defensive mastermind for the Boston Celtics, it can't go over your head. Now, at this point, I think we can all agree that Jrue Holiday is the best defensive guard we have in the NBA. And during the playoffs, he even turns it up. Obviously, in the finals, he had the Kyrie Irving assignment, and he killed him. Kyrie Irving was stuck against Jrue Holiday. Not only is he going to get into your grill, deflect passes, but he's also going to stick with you. I mean, Jrue Holiday is probably the best defender we've seen in a long time from this guard position. I think it's going to be tough to say he's not a top 15 guard in the NBA. He forces bad shots, he blocks shots, he gets in the passing lanes, he does it everything on the defensive side of the basketball. At 10, we have Damian Lillard, and yes, this is going to be the lowest he's ever been on a top guard list. 24.7 assists, not bad, but he shot 42 from three or from the field and 35 from the 3-point line. So I'm not sure if we're going to see the downfall of Damian Lillard. Obviously, that was one of his worst years of his career shooting wise. But but it's tough though. Maybe we are truly seeing the regression of Damian Lillard. At 9, we have De'Aaron Fox, averaged 27 points per game, 5 rebounds, and about 6 assists for the Kings last season. It was so tough putting Fox over Damian Lillard considering I'm a true 2010s NBA fan, but it had to happen. The stats are better, the shooting splits are better. Overall, De'Aaron Fox is probably becoming the better NBA player considering he brings on the defensive side of the basketball as well. Where Damian Lillard has kind of fallen off considering he barely plays defense. But it's tough though. When we get into this range, it's really can entertain basically anybody. I personally am gonna have De'Aaron Fox over Damian Lillard though. At 8, we have Tyrese Maxey. You could probably argue even higher. He just got a payday. One most improved player. He's one of the best guards in the league. And maybe by this time next year, he could be top 5. I don't know. We'll see. I like the progression of Tyrese Maxey. No problem being at number 8. At 7, we have Ja Morant. Only played, 9 games this season, so you can't really fault him for any of his stats. We still know Ja Morant to be one of the highest flying guards in the league, being able to facilitate to his teammate, and going into next season with a healthy team, with a better team, Ja Morant is going to be poised for, I'm not going to say a breakout season, but a true All-NBA type season. Let's not forget about the Ja Morant of old. 6, we have Tyrese Halliburton. This year, for his injury, he averaged 24 points, 13 assists, 50% from the field, 40% from the 3-point line, and 86% from the line. Obviously, when you look at his end of stats, it's going to look end of season stats, it's going to look a lot different because he suffered an injury during the season. But if he's going to be fully healthy going into next season with a running mate like Pascal Siakam, who's going to get him more assists, Tyrese Halliburton is going to be poised for a really good season next year, maybe even an All-NBA type season. But let's not forget that 30-game run we saw from Tyrese Halliburton, which I kind of think he could spread out to the whole season. Top guards we have in the NBA. At 5, we have Jalen Brunson. I don't even have to mention stats for this one. He brought new basketball back to New York, and that by himself should put him top 5. But if you think he's a little bit low, number 4 is going to be interesting. I'll explain it in a little bit. But he brought basketball back to New York. He made it exciting again. Jalen Brunson, top 5 for sure. Got that payday, took a pay cut, but got that payday. And yeah, there's not much you can say about Jalen Brunson. Build the statue. At 4, we have Devin Booker, 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. If you're wondering why Devin Booker is here on the point guard and not the shooting guard list, Bradley Beal is going to be that team's shooting guard next year. Booker averaged more assists, and he played 91% of his minutes this year at that point guard position. So unless they roll out a lineup of Monte Morris, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Yusuf Nurkic next season, Booker will continue being that team's point guard. And I don't think Monte Morris will start. But yeah, you could go either way on Booker or Brunson. I know a lot of people will prefer Brunson because he's a more liked player, I guess, in the NBA. But when I look at all of the things they bring to the table, defensively, I'm probably going to give it to Devin Booker. 3-point shooting, probably going to Devin Booker. Mid-range shooting, either way, honestly. Finishing, you can give it to Jalen Brunson. But at the end of the day, the way they're able to score on the court, how efficient they are, how they're able to get to their spots, I'm going to take Devin Booker barely over Jalen Brunson. I know this is going to be the one with the most controversy. You can go either way, in my opinion, but give me Devin Booker. At 3, we have Steph Curry, 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists this year. He shot 45% from the field, which is definitely a lot lower than usual. Over 40% from 3, and I think 92% from the line. So he wasn't as efficient as usual. He also dealt with some injuries this year, had to deal with a very not good Warriors roster. Draymond Green was suspended throughout the season multiple times. Klay Thompson, not the Klay of old. Wiggins was definitely not good last year. Kuminga could be a little top, but the it's not going to be as you can't put Jalen Brunson over Steph Curry right now. You definitely can't put Booker over Steph Curry. So for that reason, he's going top 3. Unfortunately, I can't put him any higher. At 2, we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 2 years ago, this team was the 10th seed in the NBA. Last year, he had an MVP-type season, brought them to the #1 seed in the NBA, and had the second best record in all of the NBA. Shai can get it done on both sides of the ball. He was tied lead the league in steals per game. He improved his 3-point shot heavily throughout his career, and also is a lot better passer as well as a true lead guard. Because we know with the Clippers, he wasn't really truly a lead point guard, definitely more of a combo guard. But without Josh Giddey on this team next year, I expect Shai to have even a better season. Josh Giddey probably had the ball in his hands a little bit too much last year, so having a potential lineup of Shai, Caruso, J-Dub, Cat Holmgren, and Isaiah Hartenstein, I think Shai can have an even bigger season next year as the Thunder look to compete for a championship. And at 1, we have Luka Doncic, this year averaging 33.9 points per game, 9.2 rebounds per game, and 9.8 assists per game. He was my MVP for the 2023 to 2024 season. He didn't get him in real life, but the eye test passed for sure. He's one of the most dominant offensive players we've seen of all time. And really, if you look at his stats as well, 34 points per game, over 9 rebounds, and almost 10 assists per game. He had one of the greatest seasons of all time last year. Now, if you want to stay over Luka because of the defense, I understand. But all in all, when you look at this man's offensive talent, it's so hard to put anybody ahead of him. Luka's the #1 point guard in the league, and honestly, he should have won MVP last year. That's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe, and be on the lookout for the top 30 shooting guards in the NBA coming out in a couple of days, most likely. See you guys next time. Peace.